Yeah, so my name is Chris, and happy to sharing my meditation practice with everyone. My meditation practice is essentially very simple, straightforward. I tend to just focus on one thing. In that case, it's my breathing, and I make sure that I focus on emptying out all the air, and so that my body is naturally compelled to take in the very next breath, and I just repeat the cycle on and on. That's essentially my meditation practice. um, I think I'll probably talk about why or how my meditation had really helped me. Um, I think it kind of centered around this thinking of self-awareness. I think fundamentally, self-awareness is it's not a trait that you're born with, but it's a set of habits that you can learn to cultivate. And just to expand a little upon that is, I think I think as when we were like little growing up, um, like as we experience pain and trauma in our life, um, sometimes these pain and trauma experience leave us to be vulnerable and afraid. And like over times, like how we cope with these vulnerabilities and afraid, um, we develop like psychological defensive mechanism, like emotional safeguard or emotional armor, like basic. So in the form of people like people who always speaks very sarcastically, or people tends to numb themselves with food or drugs or video gaming. These are all forms of, I would say, emotional armors. Um, so I think these defensive mechanism um, is what we thought is best for us as we grow up, and because it helps us alleviate some of these pain. But as we grow older, I think there are side effects to these. These are could really sabotage our lives in the form of broken relationships, um, addiction, or narcissism, huge ego, resentment in life, or sometimes you can become violent or violence. So I think these are things that like even if you were fortunate enough to grow up not having to suffer any kind of major trauma or pain. But I think everyone has their vulnerabilities, insecurities, and emotional blind spots. And at a certain point, I think it, it, you come to a realization that it becomes impossible to grow yourself into like a higher level of happiness or success, um, um, because of these insecurities and obviously the defensive mechanism that you have built around um, you know um, these insecurities. So I think that's the reason, um, in order for you to recognize your emotional blind spot, these self-awareness, where you practice mindfulness, these are uh, practices for me to kind of improve my self-awareness about, basically what triggers me. And I think just a couple practices that I do is I make a mindful attempt to listen more than talking, and to be curious about my own mind when I get into it, whenever I get triggered, um, to try to understand my emotional blind spot. Like for example, I like I just take social media as an example. Like sometimes I ask myself, why do I feel the way I feel when I see other people's glamorous social media activities. I think these are very common emotions. I think perhaps resonating with most people who use social media a lot. So I think the other thing I want to point out is what also benefited me is to actually guide other people to do meditation. I think I've been guiding like a friend of mine to do meditation, and just as you guide other people to go through, and you can kind of recognize that other people's state of absorption is related to your own state of absorption as you guide other people through meditation. And um, so I just leave you with that, that I think self-awareness is not something you're born with, but you can definitely uh, learn, take in the habits to learn to cultivate self-awareness. Thank you very much.